Hey guys, this is Scott Tabor. In this video, I want to show you one of my favorite Argentine tangos of all time, La Cumparsita. We're going to play the A section, which is the catchiest and best part of it, obviously. The A sections often are. I'm going to show you the melody and the chords and a little bit of music theory behind the song to show you why it works so well, so that you can put these together for your own fun-to-play chord melody. So La Cumparsita is probably the world's most famous tango. It's certainly the first tango I ever heard, written way back in 1916, more than 100 years ago. But what I want to talk about here is some tango elements that we need to keep in mind as we're playing this. So tango rhythm is, I think, a lot more straightforward than a lot of Latin rhythms. It's not very syncopated, except maybe in one spot. But at the same time, in a rhythm like this, I'm going to be talking about this in 4/4 time. A rumba and a tango very often can be interchangeable. You can overlap them on top of each other. You could tangoize a rumba or rumba-fy a tango, and they're going to fit together pretty well, and it's going to sound pretty good. But for the most part, when I think of tango, I think of staccato, I think of attitude, and I think of drama. So there's a lot of things that get cut off very quickly, but it's straightforward in the sense that we're just playing on every downbeat most of the time. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I've got that space in between every single beat, and that really gives it that choppiness. So that's literally staccato. And to me, that's a very dramatic sound. It has a lot of attitude to it, in my opinion. So if we were playing the chords, we could get away with doing what I just did, just playing down on every beat, cutting it off, very much like Roxanne by the Police. 1, 2, 3, 4. People think that's a reggae thing, but to me it's way more like a tango because we're playing just down on every single beat there. Where we'll very often hear syncopation is on the and of 4. Let's try this. Play a block chord, including your thumb. So it's thumb, index, middle, and ring. I'm playing an A minor chord. Just going to play all those strings in the middle 4 times, once per beat, and cut it off every time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now before we repeat again, hit the low E and then back to A. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. It's a great place to add syncopation in a tango and very common. Quick note about that. Notice that I didn't do this and let the low E string continue to ring out. It doesn't sound as snappy. It doesn't have that attitude or drama like I was talking about. So we're going to go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. And I have to kill it with the side of my thumb or my left hand, or sometimes both at the same time, just to be sure. And that really adds to that staccato effect and the drama. Okay, let's look at just the melody of La Cumparsita. We're in the key of A minor. First note is an E note, then a D, then a B, and then a G sharp. Now those 4 notes are nothing but an E7 chord. E, G sharp, B, and D. The root, the third, the fifth, and a flat 7. But we're going to start on the root, go up to the 7th, and then come down the chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next phrase is very cool. It gets repeated throughout the song, but it starts on the and of 1. We go 1. It's just E, F, back to E, D sharp, and then E again. We'll talk about the significance of that later. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm cutting them off. Now the next phrase is an answer to that. Starts the same way on an E note, and then we go up to E, an octave higher, C, and then A. And you might know that those 3 notes are an A minor chord. A, C, and E in reverse. Rest. I'm doing a hammer-on right here from E to F. It just makes it easier, so we don't have to play all those downstrokes. Just another subtlety we can put in there, totally optional. So the catchy opening theme to the song is these 4 measures. Then we do it all again. Next phrase goes D, A, G sharp, A. So it's just those 3 notes, and we're playing them several times. Rest. Do the same thing again, but make it A in the bass first. Okay, final phrase, we go to E. I'm going to play the low E. Doesn't matter what E it is. And then high E to D sharp and back again. Okay. And the final phrase, that's the melody. If you're enjoying this video so far and you're into nylon string guitar, you should definitely check out my course, The Ultimate Nylon String Guitar Guide. I talk about all the techniques that I'm using here and much, much more. And I give you an awesome foundation and great exercises to help you get to the next level in your nylon string guitar playing, whether it's flamenco, classical, Latin jazz, bossa nova, Argentine tango, rumba, it's all there. And in that course, I teach you how to play this tango. Tons of other awesome, fun to play stuff. Check it out in the link below or go to theversatileguitarist.com. Now let's look at the chords. There's only 3 chords really, but we can have a 4th in there if we want, and we'll talk about that. And actually 2 more chords on top of that, which we also sometimes hear in the song. But for the most part, it's going to be E7, which we've already seen in the melody. We already had that entire chord spelled out in the melody. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, A minor. 2, 3, 4. And 2 and 3, 4, and we do it again. 2, 3, 4, A minor. 3, 4, 1, 2. Now we go to D minor. 2, 3, 4. Back to A minor. E7. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Sometimes you hear an ending like that, but very often you'll hear this also as an intro to the song. I did that at the beginning as I was about to repeat it. A minor, G, F, E. You might know that already as a nylon string guitarist. That's the Andalusian cadence. We hear that in a lot of Spanish stuff, and that's just taking us from A minor and getting us down every chord in the key back to the beginning, E7, where the song begins. What I was doing there to play those chords was playing a nice fleshy thumb downstroke. Fleshy meaning I'm not using my nail there. I was just kind of swiping my thumb past there and then killing it as quickly as I can afterwards. It's hard not to get a little buzzy thing happening there, but we're always working on something. Okay, the chords of the A section, and really of the whole song, there's 2 other parts of the song, the B and the C sections, but those are using exactly the same chords, even though the melody, it changes a little bit. So we're playing a 5 to a 1, and then D minor is the 4, and that's really all the chords there. As we go from A minor to D minor, we can always play a secondary dominant, and so we're going to hear this in many versions of this song. We can turn the A minor into an A7 because A7 is the 5 of D minor, so we can call that the 5 of the 4. That is a secondary dominant, and it sounds pretty cool. At the beginning of this lesson, I did that. I went getting on my way, I was playing A minor. On my way to D minor, I went the C sharp there, and that definitely sounds more dramatic. And remember, tango is all about drama. Okay, before we attempt to put the melody and the chords together, let's talk just a little bit about the music theory that's happening there. We are in the key of A minor, like I said, but because the E is not minor, and technically it should have been if we're playing the natural minor scale, but anytime your 5 chord is a major chord or a dominant 7th, that is in a minor key, the harmonic minor scale happening right there. This G sharp, it was natural in the natural minor scale, it got raised up, that's a sharp 7 in the key, A, B, C, D, E, F, G sharp. That's a major 7th or sharp 7, and that makes you want to hear this resolution more, and that's kind of the essence of so much Latin Spanish stuff. But this phrase, such a great little characteristic thing of the song, and it sounds so cool. Now, why does that work? Well, there's a couple of answers, I think, to that. But this D sharp, if we just take straight up what the notes are that we're hearing so far in the song, we have A, B, C, D, D sharp, E, F, G sharp. Some people might call that the Hungarian minor scale or the Gypsy minor scale. But technically, we would have to go like this and leave D natural out of it. But that sound of a flat 5, see E is the 5 in the key, and let's flat it. I'm calling it D sharp in this song, but it really is a flat 5. It's E flat and D sharp are the same note. If we played the blues scale on A, we would have that same chromaticism there, D, D sharp or E flat to E. And if we add in the harmonic minor scale, that is the Hungarian minor scale, we could call it. I think of it as the blues scale superimposed on top of or combined with the harmonic minor scale. A great way to start out putting this chord melody together is to play just the bass note. Notice I'm killing it with my thumb. Don't let it ring out. We really want things to be kind of choppy and really stand out. Hitting my thumb on the first beat, kill it, and then we have the melody we already played. Hit it again. A. Okay, that's just the bass notes. That's almost all that you need. You don't have to really make things too complicated most of the time. We can just play the bass note and the melody, and sometimes that will give the listener all they need to know. And in this case, they're going to know exactly what the chord is because literally the melody is the notes of the chord. But before we go to the next section, let's go an octave higher and see what that sounds like. Now we have a D minor chord, so we'll play D in the bass, and if you remember the melody was A to G sharp to A again. Okay, we will look at how we can put things in between that high melody note and the bass note, but before we do that, see if you can mess around with that thing on the and of 4, where we play a bass note just before the next beat, and usually it's going to be a fifth of the chord, and then we go up to the root. Doesn't always have to be that way, but very common to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. See, E is the fifth of the chord, and that's a very common, familiar sound there. But if we're starting on an E7 chord, we don't have anywhere to go in terms of the low strings. If I start here, 1, 2, 3, 4, I can't go obviously to the ceiling, but I could play the fifth here, this B note. We could go 1, 2, 3, 4, or what about this G sharp? We could go 1, 2, 3, 4. And that works pretty well when we go to the A minor chord for sure. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. See, before I went to the E7 there, I played the B because I knew it was in the chord, even though it wasn't in the chord I was on at the moment. I knew it was coming up, so I played B to E. Now, it really can be any note in the chord. It doesn't even have to even be in the chord to create that cool syncopated dramatic tango effect. Okay, we'll see that thing on the and of 4 happening again in a minute, but let's just add some notes from the chord. So when we started out, we had this E. That was our melody, first 4 notes of the melody, but we could play an E7 chord and play the low E. I prefer to do that. And then just put your pinky here, and you'll notice that, well, that's just an E7 chord. You've probably played that a million times. Well, everything in between this high note and the low E string we just played is available to us, so we can just play them however we like, really. So I like to just do a kind of a roll into it, like that. The rest of the time, I'm playing block chords. Not every time, but most of the time. Same thing on A minor. Notice with my pinky, I'm killing that in between the beats for that staccato effect. Now this is pretty handy, this fingering of an A minor chord. We have the melody right here. First string, second string, third string. So we could play maybe these two, kill it, the next two, and the next two. So it sounds more full, but it's just notes from the chord without any funny business in the left hand at all. See, if we know that C, here it is already fingered in the chord. If C is part of an A minor chord, we could use that if we wanted to on the and of 4 for that syncopation thing. 1, 2. Or the low E. That's where I like to get that effect of A7, secondary dominant, and I might, if I were going to not jump up an octave, which I'm about to do, we could go like this. That's the melody. There's another way to play a D minor chord. We know the chord is a D minor. Earlier we played it like this. Same chord though. We could do that if we want. Back to A minor. Let's look at it going higher. Now, I'm cheating a little bit there, playing a diminished 7th chord. We have a D note, we have a B note, and a G sharp note. Everything but the root in a dominant 7th chord can be the basis or starting point for a diminished 7th chord. And that's a really handy thing. I've talked about that in other lessons. Great thing about that is once you can locate where that is and play it on the right spot, you can just go up 3 frets or down 3 frets and it's the same exact chord. It's kind of a crazy miracle that exists on the guitar. We can just move that same shape around. Another way though to do this would be a little bit harder. You really have to know your shapes better, would be to go like this. See, I played E7, a full E7 every single time. This is one voicing of an E7 chord. And then down here, and then we have this guy. All based on arcade shapes. I think just to keep it simple, let's just do diminished and nobody's gonna even notice. Now here, we know we have a high E note in the melody, and I'm playing just whatever I can from an A minor chord. I'm kind of out of fingers here. I suppose I could add this. We are gonna see exactly the shape in a minute, but I just do it like this. We're missing the 3rd, but here it comes right here. There's a great voicing for a chord. You may have played an A minor just like this at some point. It's just D minor. D minor, but move it way up here to where the note that used to be D is now an A. And, you know, easy for me to say, but it really is easy as that on the guitar, moving pictures around. And then I played A minor this way. You might recognize that. So I'm getting these 3-note little stabs here. Now right here, we could play A7 if you want to. This part's really cool. Really kill those bass notes. There's D minor, just using a little triad shape there, coming from this. Now here, I like to go to this voicing of A minor, which is the same as this, but the strings, this sounds thicker here. The strings literally are thicker. And it just sounds more deep and full to me. You might recognize that as well. It's really just the D minor form again, flipped around to where we took this note to 1 octave lower. Same 3 notes. And we're back. Here's 2 great ways to end a song in A minor. We're going E7 to A minor, but we can do this. I have a YouTube short about that. I'm playing open E, 11, 12, 13. There's our E7, and then there's our A minor. Another great way is like this, which you hear at the end of Tango and Skaï by Roland Diens. Argentine tangos are so cool and so fun to play. And if you're into nylon string guitar, you should check out this video where I talk about 5 rhythms every nylon string guitarist should know.